This is a picture of the inside of a mosque. I don't know if any of you have actually visited the inside of a mosque. What you'll find that is unique is that there is no chairs. And there's no separation between anyone in a mosque. If I was a king and he's a peasant, or I'm the peasant and he's the king, we both line up shoulder to shoulder, foot to foot, and it doesn't matter that I'm richer than he is. It doesn't matter that I'm more powerful than he is. We all stand in unity before God and bow down our heads at the same time. And as well, here's another picture. Here's some women praying or actually supplicating to God. As well, you can see the architecture. Mosques around like the Middle East and around the Muslim world, actually, like the architecture is spectacular. Take a trip to Istanbul and you'll believe it.
Really bomb mosques.
Yeah, in Turkey.
Really cool mosques.
Really cool mosques.
So another pillar of Islamic belief is zakat, or charity. And what this is that 2.5% of your savings have to go to charity. And this is only for if the one qualification of having to give charity is that you yourself don't need charity. So if I'm too poor to give charity, or if I'm so poor that I have to receive charity, it doesn't make sense for me to give charity at the same time.
And one time in history during Omar ibn Abdulaziz, he was the ruler of the Islamic Empire, and he sent an envoy to go into Africa to spread the zakat money on people that needed it. And he said, the envoy said, Yahya ibn Sa'd, the Khalifa sent me to collect the zakat from the Muslims of Africa. When I collected it, I inquired if there were any poor on whom the money could be spent, but I could not find one poor person.
And the significance of this quote is to show that if the Muslims are paying their 2.5%, that there will come a time when there will be a time when donations aren't even needed. Because the beauty of the 2.5% is, if that it was done correctly, is that you could almost entirely eliminate poverty, as was done in a time when it was implemented correctly by the Muslim state.
And the fourth pillar is fasting. Muslims fast during the lunar month of Ramadan. And the lunar calendar is different from the Gregorian calendar because it's 10 days shorter. That's why many times Muslims are celebrating Ramadan during different seasons. Like sometimes in December, November. And people, I think, sometimes get confused. Like, how come Ramadan is in a different time every year? It's because it's following the lunar calendar. And the purpose of fasting told to us in the Quran is to acquire God conscious, build that willpower, feel compassion for the poor, to purify one's body, to reflect on one's life, and strengthen the community relations.
Also, it's really important to know that the main reason why we do this is because God commanded us to do so. These are all benefits, but at the end of the day, you do it for the sake of it.
So the last and final pillar that we practice is the habit of pilgrimage to the Kaaba. You may know it as the black box, or the thing that all the people circle around. It is the Kaaba. Here's a nicer picture of it. The Hajj is actually something that we're supposed to do once in our lifetime. I went as a little kid, but it doesn't count. So I have to do it when I'm adult again.
I went a couple years ago, but it wasn't for Hajj. It's more for visiting purposes and whatnot.
Yeah, and actually the Hajj is something that was done, the Kaaba itself was built by the Prophet Abraham, and the Prophet Muhammad used to also perform the Hajj, and this is where we get the practice from. And about 2 million people do Hajj annually. This doesn't count all the people that come in illegally
Because Hajj,
and whatnot.
you can't do Hajj anytime you want. It happens during a specific time period, a specific month.
Yeah.
So everyone's doing it at the same time, and it builds unity and whatnot.
And something we forgot to add also with Ramadan is that the Muslim calendar is a lunar calendar. So what you'll notice is that one year Ramadan or Hajj season falls in say September, and the next year it's in August. And the reason is that the lunar calendar actually it goes 10 days back each year. Okay. So something to remember. Oh, we did that. Oh. My bad. So here's another really cool picture of the Kaaba during Hajj season. And what always astonishes me about this picture is the perfect lines that everyone is in. And Irvine knows when you go to Hajj how crazy it is and how ridiculous. And as Brother Hamza told us one time, he went to Hajj recently. It is the amount of people circling. There's about 3 million people circling at one time, and these are people from all different walks of life. And it is pretty much chaos, you could say. People are pushing and shoving. It's so there's not exactly a lot of room to walk around. But at the moment that the call to prayer
And they also say that people in the marketplace or like in the streets around the Kaaba, like literally they'll just stop what they're doing, park their cars, get out of the car and start praying. Like the freeway will pretty much close. Just to show you how important it is.
And actually, Malcolm X, you guys may be familiar with, his trip to Mecca and the pilgrimage was a life-changing experience. If anyone would like to read the quote, actually, you could go ahead. Any volunteers to read the quote? We have to say it like nicely. I want the rhetoric.
Sarah? Gina?
I've been talking all day, so we want someone else to talk.
It could be you guys too. Like, don't be shy. It could be good.
We want to get crowd involvement.
I'll read it.
Go for it.
Never have I witnessed such sincere hospitality and the overwhelming spirit of true brotherhood as is practiced by people of all colors and races here in this ancient holy land, the home of Abraham, Muhammad, and all the other prophets of the Holy Scriptures. For the past week, I have been utterly speechless and spellbound by the graciousness I see displayed all around me by people of all colors. During the past 11 days here in the Muslim world, I have eaten from the same plate, drunk from the same glass, and slept on the same rug while praying to the same God with fellow Muslims whose eyes were the bluest of blue, whose hair was the blondest of blonde, and whose skin was the whitest of white. And in the words and in the actions and in the deeds of the white Muslims, I felt the same sincerity that I felt among the black African Muslims of Nigeria, Sudan, and Ghana. We were truly all the same brothers because their belief in one God had removed the white from their minds, the white from their behavior, and the white from their attitude.
So something to add also that we talked about earlier, the whole idea of Islam being a monotheistic faith, is that through the unity of God, people can have a unity among themselves, and it can exterminate things like racism within a society. And this is, Hajj is the prime example of this.
So in Islam, there are two holidays. The first one is called Eid al-Fitr, it's festival of breaking the fast, and it's celebrated at the end of the month of Ramadan to commemorate the whole month of fasting and whatnot. And the second one is Eid al-Adha, it's called the festival of sacrifice, and it's celebrated during the time of Hajj, commemorating the trials that Prophet Abraham went through and some of the sacrifices he did and whatnot.
That's a cool Eid stamp, so buy it if you see it in the USPS store.
So Islamic law is based on two sources. Number one, it is the Quran, it is the holy book of Islam, and second is the Sunnah, which are the actions and sayings of the Prophet Muhammad and his companions and whatnot. And before we continue on this, anyone have any questions or whatnot so far in the presentation? Cool. So basically, the Quran is the final revelation sent from the Creator to mankind, and from A to Z, these are the words of God. And Muhammad's own words is not the Quran. And even for non-Arabs, when they hear the Quran and when they hear the Prophet Muhammad's own words, they see that it's very distinct. Like, it sounds different, and we'll talk about it further as well. And the Quran addresses many topics. It talks about the purpose of life. It's the guidance for mankind. It talks about, explains the relationship, how the relationship should be between the Creator and the creation. It talks about how the creation should maintain that relationship. It talks about some of the relevant history of the previous prophets and the lessons that we can learn from their lives. And it also reminds us about the shortness of this life and the eternity of the hereafter. And to sum it up, the Quran is considered in Islam the ultimate miracle and the living miracle in regards to its linguistics and the content. And many people, especially during the time of Prophet Muhammad, they became Muslims just by hearing the Quran. It was like something that they never heard before and whatnot. And in terms of its content, it's different that the Quran